Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Cloudy Head Podcast episode 3, I believe. It's been a minute since I did this. As usual with Cloudy Head Podcast, I had technical difficulties. I tried to film a session of this before a couple minutes ago. I was like maybe 20 minutes in and realized I was not recording. I hit a button on my keyboard and it was not recording. And I look like a dumbass. Yeah, basically this episode is supposed to be about nostalgia. I was kind of just wondering what nostalgia actually is, what it means, some of the roots of it, like I guess what makes you feel nostalgic about things. Yeah, nostalgia is kind of a weird one for me because um like I was saying in the last take of this, that nostalgia you can be nostalgic for things basically that you have not ever experienced, and you can be nostalgic for things that like for example, like you can look at a picture in like Instagram or something, and it could be like a specific mood or scene in the picture, and you could feel nostalgic from looking at that picture as though you've experienced it, or maybe it reminds you of something of your past. I looked up the definition of it. I'm kind of scared to type now because I feel like I'll press a hotkey on my keyboard again and it'll kind of, it'll cut the recording off like it did last time. But basically, all right. I asked the question Google. First thing that pops up when you ask, why does nostalgia happen? And it says nostalgia is often triggered by sensory stimuli, but it can be elicited by conversations and even be self-directed memory recollections. Sometimes nostalgia triggers are unexpected surprises, and sometimes they're sought out as means to bring comfort and happy feelings. So, yeah, that basically sounds like dead on what you experience with nostalgia. At least what I experienced with nostalgia. Uh, Especially the last part there. They're sought out as means to bring comfort and happy feelings. I definitely use nostalgia a lot. Like I was explaining previously in the other take of this, that the things that make me nostalgic a lot for whatever reason is like watching cartoons that I used to watch when I was a kid. Like yesterday, for example, I was watching Dexter's Laboratory, classic Cartoon Network show if you haven't seen it. But yeah, it was like I was watching an episode. I looked up a specific episode because I wanted to watch the episode where Dexter and his dad go fishing. And if you've ever seen that episode, it's hilarious. Like it's crazy. Like his dad is trying to get him basically to go to the lake, this lake, and fish before the sun rises. So they have to leave before the sun rises, like at the literally before the crack of dawn, technically. And they're there. His dad wants to be basically at the lake while the sun rises. He wants to fish and have the sun rise as they're fishing. I guess maybe to experience that with his son Dexter. That's what I'm assuming, looking at it back on as an adult. As a kid, I didn't. I thought it was just a funny like a dad tropey kind of thing to want to go fishing. I didn't probably look at it any further than that at face value, really. Um, and I was just sitting there thinking, like, this is so nostalgic because I think I remember watching this episode. Like, the episode is crazy. Like, he's literally trying to get Dexter to wake up every single morning so they can go fishing. And Dexter is like any other kid. He's tired out of his mind and doesn't really want to, I don't think, get up that early to go do it. But his dad has all these like random ass specific rules that he has to like go do before they can like actually meet the criteria of fishing in the lake before the sun rises. Like they have to leave at a specific time. If the sun rises before they get there, they have to turn around. If there's somebody that's at the lake before them, even if they make it before the sunrise, they got to go home. He said it was about principle, and Dexter's looking at him like, we actually finally made it. So they go through like a whole week of what seems like maybe not even a week, maybe like weeks, like multiple days of like trying in the summer of trying to go to the lake to go fishing before the sun rises, and waking up and failing and waking up and failing and waking up and failing and waking up and failing. And Dexter basically just gets livid. He's like done. Um So he basically makes this like surefire way to get to the lake. So he makes this like machine or whatever that like dresses him in the morning before his dad even like wakes him up. And then it's like getting everything, like it's like handing him stuff. It's like handing him his fishing gear and everything like that. And then he goes like he gets into the car or whatever, and like at the right time with his dad to go leave. They have everything checked off on the checklist that they need. They need all this equipment and gear and everything, and the worms and everything like that for fishing. And they finally go, and Dexter's like, no, not this time. We're not going to be late this time. Let me drive. Why he's allowing his, like, what seems to be, I thought Dexter was like 8, 9 years old. I think he's like under 10 years old. I don't know why he's letting him drive. He just scoots his dad over and says, I'm driving. So he drives the car. He's like racing basically all the way down to the lake because his dad in the, in previous, attempts to go down to this lake takes this like long-winded road and all these long-winded paths basically to get there, which is probably why they're late for the most part, most of the time. But there's this rival son and dad, there's this rival son and dad, basically, this father and son, that they have to beat to the lake because, like I said before, if that rival son and father get to the lake before them, it's all off, so they can't do it anymore. So he pushes his dad to the side. His dad is in the passenger seat, and he floors it. He's like zooming, like he goes off road. He's like going, straight down the middle, basically to this lake. And then there's the father-son combo of the others, their rivals, that are also like looking over their shoulders in the car next to them, trying to beat them to the lake. And they're like obviously like breaking like an absurd amount of laws. So they're zooming down, and then there's a one-way bridge. Dexter floors it and goes first, and then the other father and son crash into the side of the bridge, and what I can only assume they die. So trying to get to this lake has now killed somebody. This now killed the father and son, possibly. They're if they're not dead, they're injured. They're in the hospital for some months. And they go to the lake. They Dexter has a sun like countdown of when the sun will rise. He has like a watch or something that knows exactly when the sun will rise somehow. And they're barely making it. They're like 10 seconds like before they get to the lake. They zoom into the lake and they just make it. And instead of even renting a boat, they don't have time for any of that. They land their car directly in the lake. And they just like come up, they're floating, and they already are fishing. And as soon as they do that, the sun comes up. And now his dad is satisfied. And I'm just like, what did I just watch? This is like crazy. Like as a kid, I'm probably, I don't know what I thought as a kid. I'm just thinking it's a cartoon. It's funny. But like looking at this from a realistic standpoint, what the hell is going on? This is absurd. This is crazy. Like they could have died multiple times. The other guys possibly did die. So, yeah, this is one of those things where I'm just like, this is bringing back so many memories of when I used to watch this show when I was a kid. And I think that's the main reason why I still even watch cartoons to this day. Like SpongeBob now, I'm sorry if you're a fan of current SpongeBob, but SpongeBob right now at this moment is not the best show. It's not the best. It's not the best. Let's just leave it at that. I'm not going to roast SpongeBob today. But the first like 3-4 seasons of SpongeBob are goated. They're goated. There's no other way to describe it. It's goated. It's like possibly the greatest comedy animation show for children that existed ever. Ever. High regards for SpongeBob early on. There's so many iconic moments. So I remember I went back and watched an episode of that, and I literally cried laughing. You know how hard it is to get a grown man to cry laughing? There's not many things that can do it in this modern age, especially when every joke on TV has to be politically correct and everybody around is getting offended and triggered by the simplest of things. Shout out to Long Beach Griffey. Man, it's crazy. It's crazy. But yeah, I guess the episode or what this entails basically is just to ask you guys or ask anybody watching this, like, what is your nostalgic trigger? What is the thing that like you can specifically do? Maybe it's a show you watch, maybe it's a song you hear, which also is the reason that I wanted to do the reactions that I've been doing, the reaction videos I've been doing lately, is basically for you know, everybody that I know that'll be nostalgic for these songs in some way, shape, or form. Because at now, some of the songs I listen to are about 40 years old, like, you know, very old songs. So I'm like, I just want to know, like, you know, people's experiences through the songs that I listen to, like what they like about them specifically. I want to know in this video, if you want to leave a comment down below, what's your nostalgic trigger? Like, what triggers you that you can watch or do that'll leave you nostalgic and wanting, you know, or have that nostalgic feeling like, oh, you're looking at this scene or this, you're hearing these things, like, you know, it takes you back to a time where you heard it for the first time or experienced it for the first time. I think it was Kevin Parker from Tame Impala, while he was doing the inner speaker 10-year anniversary, said he opened like a hard drive or something, or like he was in his like old, he was like looking through like old things, and he found like a old deodorant like canister, and he like smelled the deodorant canister, and it like brought him back to a time when he used to like wear that deodorant. That's, I'm guessing, is like maybe middle school or something like that, middle school, high school. So I'm like, even something like smell can like bring you back to a time in which you like, you know, you're thinking about a nostalgic time in your life. Like, this is a thing that I was going through and happened, which is crazy to me. Another thing that specifically Tame Impala, hold on, gotta make sure the camera doesn't time out like it always does. But another specific thing that is from Tame Impala is he says a line from Lost in Yesterday that what is it? Terrible memories eventually turn into great ones. That's definitely true. I've noticed. Uh like I would say, like, okay, so like I moved in like '09 to a new area, you know, so that at the start of high school. So all the people that I'd known in elementary school, middle school were gone at that point, and I basically just met a bunch of new people and had to adapt to a new surroundings. You know, all these kids, they knew each other in middle school and, you know, and elementary school, some far as back as that, and they all were familiar with each other, but I had to like be accumulated, you know, acclimated to like all these new surroundings and all these kids. So that was a very terrible time in my life at the time. At the time, I was very closed off, felt like nobody really understood the situation I was going through, felt very alone during that time. But then now that I look back on it, I'm like, bro, that time was dope. Like, for whatever reason, I'm looking back on it now that I think about it. I'm like, that was actually pretty like fun. Like, I got to meet a lot of different new people. I met some good friends during the time. I was discovering a lot of music that I now love. I discovered, you know, a lot of the songs that I listened to in the reaction videos. Um, yeah, I discovered like so many different things, and like, you know, kind of glimpse into like who I am or who I could be during that time. So now when I look back on that time, it was specifically ninth grade, 10th grade, ninth, 10th grade. During the time, especially ninth grade, hated it. Like, was hated it. Like, you couldn't tell me there was anything really that good about that time period. But yeah, like I said, looking back on it, I'm just like, man, that's a really nostalgic time, because I remember walking it to the bus. I remember getting off the bus and coming home. I remember, you know, I got an iPod Nano for like Christmas. I was listening to a lot of like Kid Cudi and like Kanye West. Uh, you know, I just, like I said, I discovered. I remember a girl did a project on the Beatles, and like in a computer science class, we had to like learn how to do PowerPoint presentations. And she did a PowerPoint on the Beatles, and one of the songs that came on was like Here Comes the Sun. And it made me realize that like I've heard that song before. It like made me realize that I heard Here Comes the Sun in the movie The Parent Trap with Lindsay Lohan. But that version is a cover, but I knew I heard the like melody and the words before. So I'm like, oh my God, that was the Beatles? Like, I hadn't even put two and two together, because that was like, you know, the first time I really actually like heard the Beatles, I guess, and sat down and like really listened to them, was all the way in like, I think that was like maybe 11th, 10th, 11th grade. But yeah, somewhere around there. But yeah, and that sparked, you know, me wanting to like, okay, people say this is like the greatest band of all time or whatever, one of the greatest bands of all time. I'm gonna check out this band and see if they actually have, if it reaches the hype. I respected them such as the greatest band of all time, and I still pretty much do. They're like the quintessential. They're like the archetype, the prototype, for like the quintessential band. Like they're what every band after them really strove to be. They want to be as popular, as liked, or come up with musical ideas as good or as fluent as the Beatles. And so I think, you know, I didn't listen to it in order. But it was like Abbey Road before whoever owns the Beatle publishing, decided to crack down on before that stuff was applicable, like before in a space where before everything was like driven by ads and before the adpocalypse or whatever the hell they call it, like before all of that stuff, when you could just go on YouTube and just literally just find full albums of like everything. Like I found a full whole album of Abbey Road. None of it was like copyright claimed or anything like that. Like literally went on YouTube and I went on one of those sites that lets you download the videos, and I just downloaded the whole Abbey Road album. So like I couldn't actually tell what song was what song at first. It was just I would just listen to the whole thing on the bus ride home every day. Another nostalgic thing for me is I had to go on a bus. I had to ride on a bus because my house was technically out of the city of the school district. It was like technically I guess it wasn't, but it was just like out of the way. So I had to get on a bus from my school. I think they're in 11th grade. I think that was 11th grade. And I didn't have like a driver's license or a car or anything. So I had to get on a bus. Excuse me. I had to get on a bus with a bunch of like younger kids. Like it would pick us up from the high school first. The high school kids would get dropped off. But since I lived like out of the way, closer to these like younger kids, they'd go to like a middle school, they would go to like an elementary school, and they'd pick up a bunch of kids. So imagine like me, like maybe at the time like a 5'10", 5'10", like 16, 17-year-old kid amongst like all these like tiny kids that wouldn't even like, they'd all be smaller than the seat, the bus seat. Their heads wouldn't even reach the top of the bus seat. And I'm on the bus, just filled with all these little munchkin kids, and they're talking about all this random stuff. And I'm just like, all right, I need to like escape this, because I'm not gonna make friends with like 7-year-olds that are talking about like God knows what, like boogers or something. I don't know. I don't know. But I remember just being on there on the bus and listening to like Abbey Road. I listened to like MGMT. I discovered like Rat-a-Tat the year before, in like 2010, from Kid Cudi. Really, Kid Cudi was like the gateway. I discovered MGMT from Kid Cudi, and I discovered Rat-a-Tat from Kid Cudi. If you don't know those bands, I'll link it in the description down below. Fantastic bands, worth checking out. Yeah, if you don't know who Kid Cudi is, shame on you. He's from my city of Cleveland, Ohio. And yeah, basically is one of the main reasons I even want to do music in the first place, or inspired me to do music. So shout out to Kid Cudi. Even though he'll never see this. But yeah. Interesting bus rides, man. Interesting bus rides. Because for whatever reason, they'd go to like every younger kid's house first. And I was like one of the last people to be dropped off. So I'd get off school 2:20, get on the bus, be on the bus, and the bus would take off maybe 2:25, 2:30. I'd get off, they'd drop all the older kids that were my age off, and then they'd go pick up like kids from like 2 or 3 schools. And I knew the routes on how to get to the schools because it was like literally every day. So I knew how to get to the routes of the schools at this point. And it would drop all these kids off before me. And I was literally one of the last kids. So by the time I would get home, it'd be like maybe 3 to almost 4 o'clock sometimes. And I would have nothing to do. I'd have like a routine, and like I'd have like a playlist, because I think you could like make like a little playlist on your iPod Nano. Man, not iPods were like that really makes me nostalgic, because I lost my iPod like somewhere when I was like a couple years ago. But when I had that thing, man, it was incredible. You could take like video on it. It was like a Generation 5. If anybody knows what I'm talking about, those Generation 5 iPod, they were slender, but they had like a big screen and like one of those like wheels. It was ergonomic, and it was fire. I'm not gonna lie, it was fire. It was pretty cool having one of those. And I would just listen to full albums or like playlists that I made. And yeah, the Beatles album ripped off of YouTube. Don't worry, I eventually bought it for the the Beatles copyright holders lurking. I see you. I bought it. All right, I bought it multiple times. Don't worry. But yeah, I had the full album on just a YouTube rip. Not the best quality or anything, but I would just listen to it front to back every single day, pretty much. So that's where my love of the Beatles basically comes from. And it started with Abbey Road. That's the album, if I didn't mention that already. Yeah, it was just Abbey Road, just chilling, listening to Abbey Road on the bus, trying to, not be annoyed by little kids that were, just basically virtually being annoying. Because I remember the bus driver had to stop every now and then and yell at them for being, too disruptive or whatever, and, blocking her blind spots and stuff like that. But yeah. I guess I just want to know what makes you guys nostalgic, is the whole point of doing this. I don't want to make these podcasts too long anymore. I think the last one was like it was like an hour and 30 minutes. This is basically me rambling. And yeah, I just broke podcast rule number 1. I didn't bring water. I'm going to go get water. This is very reminiscent of the first podcast. Shout out to everybody who actually watched that. Okay, and we are back. Water is in the system now. Throat is not parched anymore. I never know how to sit in these things. I'm like, stay in the frame, stay in the frame. Yeah, man. But so that covers cartoons, which is very nostalgic, like I said, and that covers music. I don't think there's a third thing, really, actually. I think it's just cartoons and music for me. Definitely music. Every time I hear the Beatles now, it is nostalgic in some way, shape, or form. Also discovered ELO during that time, which is a lot of the reactions that I've been doing. Like I said, if you've come over from the reactions, thank you, thank you, thank you. I really want to do more podcasts, but they don't get a whole lot of traction because I'm still virtually a newer channel, even though I did start the channel around like 2 or 3 years ago, but I haven't started posting until recently. So yeah, thank you all the new subscribers. Thank you to people that actually watch all the videos. If you have watched all the videos, you're a saint and I love you. Genuinely, I love you. Yeah, I guess what's another topic we can think of for nostalgia? Yeah, man, I really don't even know. Like, nostalgia is just such an interesting concept to me. I almost don't even want to type it in because hold on, I wonder if I can nostalgia. Yes, no. No. It didn't work. Yeah. I was basically trying to use the microphone to do a search, but that did not work. And somebody is texting me, calling me. Hey, Trey Rags. Hey, yo, shout out to Trey Rags. He's one of the funniest dudes on YouTube and Instagram. I just watched his video about why he doesn't want to go on TikTok anymore, because basically TikTok is trying to stop him. And, let's not talk about TikTok. Let's not even talk about TikTok. That has nothing to do with nostalgia. Let's not talk about TikTok. Yeah, I'm definitely about to check out his video though later. Yeah, okay. Let me pose this question to you, I guess. What's the most nostalgic band for you? Since this is mostly a music channel, I do gaming on this. Go watch the Pokemon videos if you're interested in those. More Pokemon videos are coming. Doing a Pokemon playthrough if you don't know. Pokemon Polished Crystal, it's a ROM hack, which means that all the game is like an altered version of the game made by fans of the game, and they've basically added things here and there to make the game more interesting than the original game. That's usually what ROM hacks are. Yeah, and the version that I'm playing, Polished Crystal, is a fantastic version of the game, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. So if you want to see me be a goofball, joke around, make stupid jokes, play some Pokemon, go through an adventure, a journey with me, an 8-bit journey, then Pokemon is a series for you. That's on this channel. You can find it in the playlist and all that. But yeah, moving on. I just want to know, like, what is your, like, what are like the top maybe like 5 nostalgic like bands or pieces of music? Maybe bands, maybe songs of bands. Like, what's the most nostalgic thing that like you can think of that you see, or you know, that happens to you and you're like, oh, nostalgia? Like, do you ever, like, you know, I don't know, maybe you moved or something and you go drive by your old house and you're like, man, I remember all the memories, you know, like what makes you nostalgic, I guess, is what I'm most curious about. Because I know that music makes people nostalgic. For me, cartoons and music make me nostalgic. But like, what really triggers nostalgia in you? Like, I just want to hear it, like, instead of getting like a Google search definition, I want to hear from like an actual experience of somebody. Like, is it going near a certain area or a certain part of town? Maybe is it going to like a certain restaurant, eating a certain food? Maybe you're like Kevin Parker and you want to smell deodorant canisters to transport you back to, like, I don't know, your middle school days. I don't know, maybe it's watching like a certain sports highlight. It will take you back. Maybe like, you know, when Jordan had that game 6 shot. I don't know. It's really, you know, as you can see, I'm wearing a Cleveland Cavaliers championship shirt. That definitely takes me back, thinking to 2016 when we won the championship. LeBron with that pin down block. That's legend in these parts. In this part of Ohio, that's legend. Yeah, so I guess I'm just curious. What really makes you nostalgic? Let me know in the comments. Let me know what topics I should do next podcast, because I want to keep these short. Like I said, the last one I did was like an hour and a half. And like 3 people, I think, watched maybe all of 10 minutes. So if you made it this far in the video, thank you. I love you. Seriously, I love you. I need like a PO box so I can like give out, like, I can like send people stuff. I don't want to give away my actual address, but I need like a PO box so like you can send me stuff, I can send you stuff. I gotta look into that. I think that costs money though. That might cost money. But yeah, what makes you nostalgic? Let me know. Let me know in the comments what I should do another video about. Do you want to hear me talk more about music? Do you want to hear me talk more about maybe a show? Do you want to suggest maybe I start watching a show and doing reactions to shows on the channel? I've always wanted to do that. A lot of the reasons I don't do some things is because they are they can easily be taken down. Tried to do a Beatles reaction the other day, like 2 weeks ago, and it got taken down immediately. So yeah, I gotta figure out a way to do. I will do Beatle reactions on this channel. Mark my words, I will figure out a way to how to do them. I might just do them by like listening to them in the background. I don't know if I mentioned this on another video, but I might just do them by listening to them in the background and not actually doing a video capture for the official audio to be like displayed to you all. I don't know if that's something you're interested in. I might just listen to every album in chronological order, because I don't think I've ever done that, even in my own listening time. So like, yeah. So I guess thanks for watching. This has been episode 3 of the podcast, I hope. I hope I'm getting the episodes right. If this is episode 4, I feel bad for me that has to edit that. Yeah, but thanks for watching. More reaction type videos to come, more Pokemon videos to come, more podcasts to come, even though I haven't done them in a long time. Yeah, and stay tuned for a lot more stuff. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.